Welcome to my channel. Super Rare Coins. Today is best top 3 coins. Please don't skip this video. So let's get it started. The 1968 United States quarter dollar is part of the Washington Quarter Series, which began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. By 1968, America was deep into a turbulent period in history. The Vietnam War was ongoing, civil rights movements were at their peak, and the nation was transitioning economically. Coinage-wise, the mid-1960s brought a monumental change: the removal of silver from circulating quarters. This policy shift, which began in 1965, meant that the 1968 quarter was made entirely of base metals rather than the traditional 90% silver composition used from 1932 to 1964. This change reflected the rising cost of silver and the government's need to maintain coin production without relying on precious metals minting details and the D mint mark. The D mint mark on the 1968 quarter indicates that it was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado, one of the major U.S. mint facilities. Interestingly, in 1968, the mint mark position was moved from the reverse, tail side, to the obverse, front side, just to the right of Washington's ponytail ribbon, a detail many casual collectors overlook. The Denver Mint was heavily involved in producing quarters for circulation due to high demand, and in that year alone tens of millions were minted. The coin's mass production meant it was a common issue for everyday use, but high-grade uncirculated examples remained desirable to collectors. Obverse designed the Washington portrait. The obverse, front, of the 1968 quarter features the iconic bust of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, which first appeared in 1932. Washington is shown facing left with his hair tied back in a colonial-style queue. Above his head, the word "Liberty" is prominently displayed, symbolizing the nation's core value. The left of his neck, the motto "In God We Trust" appears, reaffirming America's spiritual and cultural heritage. The date 1968 is struck below Washington's chin, and the D mint mark rests just next to the ribbon in his hair, a placement that began in this exact year. Reverse design: the heraldic eagle. The reverse, back, of the coin retains the long-standing heraldic eagle motif, also designed by John Flanagan, which had been in use since 1932. The eagle is shown with wings spread wide, symbolizing strength and freedom, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons to signify readiness for defense. Below the eagle lies an olive branch representing peace, a classic blend of American values. Around the upper arc is the United States of America, with the national motto "E pluribus unum," out of many, one, positioned directly above the eagle's head. The denomination, quarter dollar, is curved along the lower rim. Metal composition and physical specifications: unlike pre-1965 quarters, the 1968 D quarter was made from a copper-nickel clad composition, an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This clad coinage was introduced in 1965 as a cost-saving measure and as a way to prevent hoarding of silver coins. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and features a reeded edge with 119 grooves. This combination of durability, anti-counterfeiting features, and resistance to tarnish made the copper-nickel clad quarter a practical choice for everyday commerce. The return of mint marks in 1968. One historically notable fact about the 1968 quarter is that it marked the return of mint marks after their temporary removal in 1965-1967. The U.S. Mint had eliminated mint marks during those years to discourage coin hoarding, which spiked during the silver-to-clad transition. Their reintroduction in 1968 allowed collectors to once again identify where coins were struck, adding a layer of numismatic interest. The Denver Mint's D mark is especially significant to date-specific collectors because it represents the first year after this policy reversal. Circulation condition and rarity. In circulated condition, 1968 quarters are extremely common, having been produced in massive quantities for everyday transactions. However, uncirculated examples graded MS65 or higher are less common and command a noticeable premium. The rarity increases for quarters with exceptional strike quality, minimal contact marks, and strong luster. Even more valuable are proof strikes from 1968, though these were produced only at the San Francisco Mint and bear the S mint mark, not D. Collector interest and market value. For most circulated 1968 quarters, the value remains at face value 25 cents due to their abundance. However, uncirculated examples, especially those certified by grading services such as PCGS or NGC, can fetch anywhere from $5 to over $30 depending on grade. Ultra-high-grade specimens, MS67 or better, can command much higher prices because they are significantly harder to find. Error coins, such as those with off-center strikes, double dies, or missing clad layers, can also be highly sought after by specialists, sometimes selling for hundreds of dollars. The 1968 D quarter serves as a small yet tangible reminder of the economic changes America faced during the late 1960s. The removal of silver was not just a technical decision, but a cultural shift. Coins were no longer made of precious metal, symbolizing a more modern industrial economy. At the same time, the Washington design linked the new clad coins to America's enduring history and traditions. Next. The 1987 P Washington quarter belongs to the long-running Washington quarter series, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. By 1987, the coin's design had already been in use for over half a century. This period in U.S. history was marked by economic stabilization following the inflationary struggles of the 1970s, the ongoing Cold War tensions with the Soviet Union, and a general sense of optimism in the late Reagan-era in terms of U.S. mint. Production. The mid-1980s saw highly efficient coin manufacturing with advanced die-making technology producing sharper designs and more uniform strikes. However, the 1987 P quarter also comes from a time when no special silver issues were struck for circulation. All circulating coins were made of copper-nickel clad, a standard adopted in 1965. The P mint mark and Philadelphia production. The P mint mark on the 1987 quarter identifies it as having been struck at the Philadelphia Mint in Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia Mint, established in 1792, is the oldest operating mint facility in the United States and is historically significant for producing the very first American coins. For many decades, coins from Philadelphia bore no mint mark at all, but in 1980 the P mark was permanently introduced for most denominations, except the cent, until 2017. The 1987 P quarter therefore represents one of the relatively early years of the Philadelphia Mint mark's standard USE.IT appears just to the right of Washington's ponytail ribbon on the obverse of the coin, a location adopted in 1968 when mint marks returned after their 3-year removal. Obverse design. Washington's portrait. The obverse of the 1987 P quarter carries the familiar portrait of George Washington designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Washington is shown in a left-facing bust, his hair tied back in a colonial-style queue, a design that has become one of the most enduring in American numismatics. Across the top arc appears the word Liberty, reflecting the nation's founding principle. Just to the left of Washington's chin, the motto, "In God We Trust," appears in small capital letters. The date, 1987, is centered beneath the bust with the P mint mark positioned just to the right of the hair ribbon, a key identifying feature for mint origin. Reverse design. The heraldic eagle. The reverse of the 1987 P quarter maintains the heraldic eagle motif introduced with the series in 1932 and used until 1998. This eagle with wings fully spread represents vigilance and freedom in its talons. It grips a bundle of arrows, symbolizing the readiness to defend the nation, while an olive branch rests below, symbolizing the desire for peace. Above the eagle's head is the national motto, E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many one, representing the unity of the states. Encircling the top rim is the United States of America, while the denomination, quarter dollar, is curved along the bottom rim. John Flanagan design was based on an earlier bust of Washington by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon. Metal composition and specifications. The 1987 P quarter is composed of copper-nickel clad, an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This clad structure replaced 90% silver composition after 1964 in response to silver price increases. The coin has a standard weight of 5.67 grams, a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.75 millimeters. Its reeded edge features 119 grooves, both as a tactile identifier and as a traditional anti-counterfeiting measure dating back to the days when coins were made of precious metals. The copper-nickel clad composition resists tarnishing, allowing 1980s quarters to retain a silvery luster longer than older silver issues, though heavy circulation still dulls their surfaces. Philadelphia Mint. Output. In 1987, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters in 1987 to meet national circulation needs. This point in history, coin production was fully automated and extremely precise, allowing for tight quality control compared to earlier decades. However, despite the mint's efficiency, some minor strike variances and die wear issues still occurred. These can occasionally result in collectible varieties such as weak strikes, die cracks, or minor misalignments, though most 1987 P quarters are uniform in appearance. The high mintage means that finding circulated examples is easy, but high-grade uncirculated coins remain less common, especially those without bag marks from bulk handling. Condition and collector appeal. For most collectors, the 1987 P quarter is considered a modern common date coin, but it still holds interest for typeset collectors and those building year-by mint sets and circulated condition. Its value is simply 25 cents as millions remain in everyday use. However, uncirculated examples graded MS65 and above can fetch a few dollars with superb gems, MS67 or higher, commanding $75 or more due to their scarcity. In pristine condition, professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC certify such coins, and registry set competitors often drive up prices for the very finest examples. Error varieties and special finds. While no major national varieties are officially recognized for the 1987 P-quarter, minor collectible errors exist. These include off-center strikes, double die obverse or reverses, and coins struck on improperly prepared planchets, such as missing clad layers that reveal the reddish copper core. A dramatic error from 1987 P can be worth dozens or even hundreds of dollars depending on severity and visual appeal. Error collectors often check 1980s clad quarters for these anomalies, as they are less common than in earlier decades but still possible. Numismatic significance. Although the 1987 P quarter is not rare, it represents a stable point in U.S. coinage history. The Washington quarter had yet to be replaced by the state quarters program, which began in 1999, and there were no circulating commemoratives to interrupt the standard eagle reverse. For collectors, this means the 1987 P is part of the last decade of the original Washington quarter design run. Its design continuity from 1932 through 1998 gives it historical weight, even if its monetary value is modest. Market value trends. In the 1990s and early 2000s, most 1987 P quarters in circulation were considered too new for serious collecting, but as decades pass, high-grade examples become scarcer due to wear and loss. Today, while circulated coins still trade at face value, the market for slabbed pristine coins is healthy, especially for registry sets. Coins in MS-68 or higher, though exceedingly rare, can sell for hundreds due to demand from collectors seeking top pop examples. Cultural and everyday role. Beyond its numismatic interest, the 1987 P quarter was a workhorse of American commerce during the late 1980s. It bought arcade games, bus fares, payphone calls, and snacks, now nostalgic for many who grew up in that era. As physical currency usage declines in the 21st century, coins like the 1987 P gain sentimental value, representing a time when pocket change was an everyday necessity. The 1997 D Washington quarter belongs to the final years of the heraldic eagle reverse design that had been in place since 1932. By the late 1990s, the United States Mint was already preparing to launch the 50-state quarters program in 1999, a series that would completely transform modern coin collecting. As such, the 1997 D quarter represents one of the last standard issue designs before that historic transition. In terms of broader history, 1997 was a year of strong economic growth, with the U.S. experiencing a booming stock market, widespread technological adoption, and the early spread of the Internet. This was also the tail end of the Clinton presidency, a period of low unemployment and relative peace, and everyday life. The quarter remained a workhorse denomination, widely used for vending machines, payphones, public transportation, and small purchases. The D Mint mark and the Denver Mint. The D Mint mark on the 1997 D quarter signifies it was produced at the Denver Mint in Colorado. Established in 1906, the Denver Mint is one of the most prolific coin-producing facilities in the world, responsible for a huge share of America's circulating coinage. In 1997, Denver struck hundreds of millions of quarters, making the 1997 D a high mintage, widely available issue in circulation. The D Mint mark is located on the obverse front of the coin, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail ribbon, a position standardized in 1968 when mint marks returned after their temporary removal from 1965 to 1967. Obverse design. Washington's portrait. The obverse design of the 1997 D quarter features the enduring profile of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan. Washington is shown in a left-facing bust with a calm, dignified expression, his hair tied back in a colonial queued T. The top of the coin, the word "Liberty," appears in bold capital letters, representing the United States' founding ideals. The motto, "In God We Trust," is placed to the left of Washington's chin, reinforcing America's national creed. Beneath the bust is the date, 1997, with a D Mint mark close to the hair ribbon. This design had remained largely unchanged for over 6 decades, linking the coin to its historical predecessors. Reverse design. The heraldic eagle, the reverse of the 1997 D quarter, retains the long-standing heraldic eagle design, also by John Flanagan. The eagle stands proudly with wings spread wide, symbolizing national strength and freedom. Clutched in its talons is a bundle of arrows, representing readiness for defense, while an olive branch lies below, symbolizing peace. Above the eagle's head is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, out of many one, a reminder of the unity of the states. Encircling the top rim is the United States of America, while the denomination, quarter dollar, is curved along the bottom. This design, in continuous use since 1932, would be retired after 1998 to make way for the state quarters. Metal composition and physical specifications. The 1997 D quarter is made from copper-nickel clad A. Sandwich of two outer layers, 75% copper 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This composition was introduced in 1965 to replace 90% silver coins which had become too costly to produce due to rising silver prices. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and features a reeded edge with 119 grooves. The clad design not only made the coins more durable and resistant to tarnish, but also ensured they could be produced in massive quantities without the expense of precious metals. Denver Mint production in 1997. In 1997, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters to satisfy U.S. commerce needs. Production runs used high-speed presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute with dies made using precise hubbing methods to maintain detail clarity. While mass production kept up with public demand, it also meant that coins sometimes suffered from bag marks, small contact scratches, and minor imperfections from bulk handling. This makes finding truly pristine, gem-quality 1997 D quarters somewhat more challenging than it may seem. Condition grading and collector appeal. For collectors, the 1997 D quarter is considered a common-date modern coin, especially in circulated grades where it is worth its face value of 25 cents. However, condition is key. Uncirculated examples graded MS-65 or better can fetch a few dollars, while coins in MS-67 or higher can be worth $75, $180 due to their relative scarcity. Such coins must exhibit sharp strikes, brilliant luster, and virtually no marks. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC certify these high-grade examples, and they are often sought by registry set competitors who aim for the highest graded set possible. Error varieties and collectible oddities. Though not famous for major varieties, the 1997 D quarter can be found with certain minting errors that attract collectors. Examples include off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and missing clad layer errors that reveal the reddish copper core. Double die obverse or reverse varieties are also possible, though they are rare for this date. Error coins can fetch anywhere from $20 to several $100s depending on rarity and eye appeal. Numismatic significance. The 1997 D quarter is part of the final chapter of the original Washington quarter series before the massive design shift brought by the state quarters program. Its traditional eagle reverse links it to the earlier silver quarters of the mid-20th century, giving it a historical connection despite its modern metal composition. For those building complete Washington quarter collections, it fills an important spot in the clad era timeline market value trends as of today. Circulated 1997 D quarters still trade at face value, and even most uncirculated rolls are affordable due to high mintage. However, the highest graded examples remain strong performers in auctions. Over time, as pristine rolls are broken up and coins enter circulation, the supply of untouched 1997 D quarters will diminish, likely making top-tier examples more valuable to future collectors. Cultural and everyday relevance. In 1997, the quarter was an essential part of daily American life. Before the near-universal adoption of debit cards and smartphones, coins like the 1997 D were used in laundromats, parking meters, arcade machines, and toll booths. For many people, it's a nostalgic reminder of a time when carrying coins in your pocket was normal. Today, as cash usage declines, coins like this one are as much cultural artifacts as they are monetary instruments. Conclusion. The 1997 D Washington quarter is a high-mintage modern coin that still connects directly to America's numismatic heritage. Struck at the Denver Mint in durable copper-nickel clad, it carries the historic Washington portrait and heraldic eagle reverse designs that would vanish from circulation within just 2 years. While common in everyday change, pristine, uncirculated specimens and rare mint errors keep it interesting for collectors. In many ways, it represents the last calm before the storm in U.S. quarter design history, just before the state quarters revolution began. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.